So hey guys, welcome back for another video. I wanted to tell you that Tesla has given me this 14-day free trial for their autopilot package. And I think this is pretty cool because it's going to give me an opportunity to try it out without actually purchasing it and see if it's worth it to me. This is a $5,000 upgrade for the car that I bought. And I think it's going to have to really be pretty spectacular to be worth $5,000. But hey, I'm really excited about it because this is high-tech stuff that you can't really get in any other car exactly the way it is in a Tesla. I know that Cadillac has a pretty neat system, and there are some other luxury brands with something that is coming close to this, but no one is quite like Tesla. So we're going to try it out and see how well the autopilot works. So some of the things that the autopilot includes is the traffic aware cruise control, auto steer, which keeps you in your specific lane, auto lane change, auto park, lane assist, collision avoidance assist, and speed assist. And also summon comes with this, so you can put it away into a garage or take it out just using your phone to drive the car, which is a pretty neat feature. So I want to go through all the stuff with you so you can kind of experience with me what it's like to have the autopilot. One thing you may know is that Tesla has run into a bit of bad press recently with people who were killed while operating autopilot. And they are very big on safety in the owner's manual and instructions about this autopilot feature. And the car does require you to maintain your hands on the wheel. They say it's a hands-on feature, and it will quickly warn you if you don't have your hands on the steering wheel. And it basically gives you this flashing blue light on the screen, and then it'll eventually take away your autopilot privileges if you don't keep your hands on there. And how it detects this is by the car sensing you either resisting the car turning the steering wheel or you turning it slightly. And they say that the auto steer is not intended to be used on curving or hilly roads. It's made to be used on limited access freeways and highways. So it is not really capable of driving at high speed through winding conditions, as I've found out. The problem I think that Tesla has run into with liability on this and a lot of bad press about autopilot, and you know, there have even been some people killed using autopilot. I think this is a little bit of semantics, but essentially calling it autopilot probably isn't a good idea. When people hear the word autopilot, they think that it's a completely self-driving vehicle. So they think about autopilot on an airplane where the pilots can just basically take their hands off the controls and sit back and drink their coffee and read a magazine or something. You're really not supposed to do that on an airplane either, but this is not really autopilot. It is not a self-driving car. It truly has auto steer for the freeway and auto lane change and auto park, but it will not stop and keep you from getting in an accident necessarily if someone pulls out right in front of you. It will not necessarily take all the corners properly, and you might just drive off the road or drive into someone else if you're thinking that it's truly an autopilot. So you really have to use a lot of caution, and although this is very exciting, you have to go into it very carefully and cautiously when you start using autopilot from Tesla. I'm going to show you the auto steer, and we're going to try that out in a condition where Tesla does not recommend it. So I'm going to use it on a winding high access road, and just to try and push it to the limit and see what it can do. This is not intended to be used by you at home in this way, and you take full responsibility for how you use your car. I'm going to be keeping my hands on the wheel at all times and immediately ready to take over if it stops steering it. And I'm not going to be giving up my command of the car at any point. But I do want to see how well it auto steers on a winding road, so we're going to try that next. So come along for the ride with us. Okay guys, here we are on a nice winding country road. I've got the auto steer on, and you can see this blue steering wheel says that it's auto steering, and we have our max speed here set for 40. And here we go around a corner. It is steering a little bit to the outside. One thing I like to do when I drive is kind of hug the inside of the corner. Car seems to operate a bit better that way, but this is sort of trying to keep it in the center of the lane. Not doing that completely well here. Okay, slowing down nicely for this downhill corner. And it gave up there partway through. Now it's turned auto steer off, and it has left the adaptive cruise control on. Let's go ahead and turn it back on here. So auto steer is back on. Now if you weren't paying attention and you were using auto steer on this road and there was oncoming traffic, the car would have released the steering to your control right there as you were going through the corner, and you might have gone into oncoming traffic. But when you're traveling at a slower speed on a road that's not quite so hilly or windy, it does a better job. It's doing fine right now. I saw another video with someone using this flying through the countryside on a winding road at high speeds, and I don't know how the car was keeping within the lanes as well as it was, because in my experience it doesn't work that well. Might have something to do with just the software not being as familiar with this geographical area, but you really cannot safely use it that way. It's made to be used on the freeway and on a fairly straight highway primarily. Alright, now we're going to try out the lane change feature. I'm going to signal left. There's no one beside me, and the car is moving to the left lane and speeding up, putting the adaptive cruise control on the car in front of me now in the left lane, and keeping a fairly good following distance. So I have some concerns about this lane change feature. I just, without the camera on, I tried changing lanes with a pickup beside me, kind of beside in my blind spot. I knew it was there, and I put the signal on and the car started to change lanes with the truck right there in my blind spot. I know there are cameras facing back towards the blind spot, but I'm not sure how well they are being utilized by the program. And I'm going to maybe give this a try on one other car here. Obviously I don't want to get into an accident, but I want to see if this feature really is working or not. So you see this 4Runner that's right next to me. I'm going to try changing lanes with the 4Runner right next to me. Okay, now it's waiting with the 4Runner right next to me. It's actually not trying to change lanes into it. But let's get just a little bit ahead so the 4Runner's in her blind spot. And now it waited until an appropriate time to change. So with the pickup it didn't, but with this one it did. It may have to do with it having already seen the 4Runner because I just passed it, and where the pickup was sort of hovering there for a while behind me. So I'm not sure if this is a safe feature or not yet. Trying to change lanes again here, and let's see if the car will do it. It just canceled my turn signal and did not let me change it. Now it's going to do it. Okay, and we'll try again with going up next to this camper and seeing if I can hit the change lanes right when I'm next to it and see what the car does. Okay, it's letting the camper go behind me, and then it's going to hit the brakes and try to change lanes. See, that would have been probably an accident. So what it did was it tried to change lanes when I was just past the camper, but then it needed to hit the brakes to keep my following distance for the adaptive cruise control. So it was using the car in front of me to hit the brakes so it would keep that distance, and by doing that and changing lanes at the same time, it would have caused the camper to hit me from behind, because suddenly hitting the brakes and changing lanes in front of someone, if they're not expecting it, you're going to be in an accident. So if I was relying in that instance on the automatic lane change, I would have gotten into an accident. So I'm seeing lots of problems with this system. You can't just use it unless you're the one looking around yourself and making sure it's an appropriate time to change lanes. It doesn't know how to do this safely yet. So hopefully that makes sense to you. I think the only way to do this safely is if you have looked around yourself and made sure that the lanes are clear. Then you hit your signal and you let the car change lanes for you. But really you're still having to do all the checking, and really that doesn't save you a whole lot of work other than just moving the steering wheel, honestly. So pickup just passed me. Car's gonna change lanes. All right, that worked. And I'm going around a pickup on the right. Okay, whoa. All right. I don't know if you saw what happened there, but I was just to the hind quarter of that pickup and had the signal on for changing lanes. And so the car tried to hit the brakes hard to move in behind that pickup, which I guess is maybe expected. I have a car approaching in my blind spot. I'm going to go ahead and put the lane change on, and the car tries to go right into them. So if you are wanting to change lanes and there's someone in your blind spot, you certainly cannot rely on this system to do it. So what I've learned in my minimal trials here with the auto lane change feature is that like it says in the driver's manual, you have to make sure that all the lanes are clear before you activate it. It's particularly not good at seeing someone in your blind spot, and I don't know why this is when there's a camera facing on the side of the car right toward the blind spot, but it does not see a car in your blind spot very well and will change lanes right into that car. So like it tells you, there's a lot of caveats in the driver's manual about this feature. You have to make sure your blind spot and your lane is completely clear before you activate it, or it will auger you into the car that's next to you. It also does not do a very good job at merging, so if you're going to change lanes and the car has to adapt to getting you in between the cars, it's not going to do a very good job of that. It may slow down dramatically to keep your following distance behind the car that is in front of you in that lane, and by slowing down while changing lanes, cause you to get hit by a car that is still overtaking you from behind in that lane. So it's also not very good at adapting to, at seeing cars that are overtaking you in the lane that you're trying to go into. So again, you have to really keep your attention, and before you change lanes, do all the regular maneuvers with checking your blind spot and everything you would do in a normal car. The only thing that you can do differently with the auto lane change is let it actually do the maneuver into the other lane. You still have to do all the safety checks and everything yourself, and you can only use it in certain circumstances when there aren't any cars in your blind spot. Instead of just doing the mundane task of changing lanes, what the system should be doing is maybe letting you change lanes, but making sure you don't do it into another car. So I would say an ideal safety system would be one that doesn't necessarily do the task for you, like changing the lane, but make sure when you do change lanes that you cannot hit another car. So either through warnings or not allowing you to move the wheel, it would, car of the future would never allow you to change lanes into another vehicle, would never allow you to run over a person if it can all be helped, and it would not allow you to back into an object or back into a person through the use of its sensors. So they really don't have this feature the way it needs to be for safety yet, and I'm hoping they will in the future, and I'm sure they're working on that. So what use is the auto lane change? I think the main reason that it needs to be here is that, not that it's going to be able to check your lanes and do everything safely yet, but if I'm using the lane holding feature of the autopilot, the lane steering, I don't want to break the control the car has in order to change lanes. So this is just a way to allow me to use this auto steer and then let the car change lanes, so I don't have to take over control from it. What we're going to be doing is going ahead and letting the car take an exit for me. I think this may only work well when it's already on my route plan. So the car hopefully knows right now that I'm wanting to take this exit. And look at this thing that happened in the rain where I did not have route planning set. Let's see if it'll get off the road. It did! Whoa! It tried to steer me right towards that median. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the auto lane change to signal to get into the right lane. And see how it does. It is not changing lanes here.
Now take the Alaska 1 East.
Okay, now it's gonna do it. Okay, it actually jumped into the other lane here, and it took the exit. All right, and it's auto steering around these corners. Let's see if it slows down for this 50. Yep, it's slowing down. Okay, nice. Yep, it slowed down to 55, 56 here for that corner. Sometimes you're wondering if it's going to do it in time, and maybe a little scary. Let's see if it can make this corner. Yep, it did. So on that corner, you can see even in the diagram, it was holding on the outside of the line, which was a little scary. I'm gonna have to slow down my speed here for the lower speed limit up in this area. Still auto steering, and we've got a multi-lane situation with merging lanes together, so we'll see how it handles the wide open area when this lane needs to merge to the left. Okay, now it's heading me towards oncoming traffic. It's in the middle of the lane, and it's keeping me in the center, so it did fine there. Isn't this beautiful scenery, guys? That's Pioneer Peak there. It's one of the mountains I get to look at every day. And Twin Peaks is over there. We do have some beautiful scenery here in Alaska. Alright, we're on a rural highway now, and the car is auto steering, and we have the autopilot on, so we're going to have adaptive cruise control as soon as we catch up to these cars in front of us. One of the dangerous things about just our human nature and how technology works is that as soon as we're promised something like autopilot, we just want to jump on it right away and let it take over, and it's not always ready to take over. It's like we're training a teenage driver. They may be ready to take the wheel, but they may not be safe yet. And so this AI really needs to be trained before it's safe, and we have to be careful about relinquishing our control, which has kept us safe up until this point. Now, this row of cars is going a little slower, so we've backed off. I'd like you to imagine for a minute that the car up here in the front puts on its brake lights to turn. I'm going to see that right away if I'm paying attention, but the car will not see that. So this car will not actually change its speed until the car directly in front of me slows down, which may not give me quite enough stopping time if the car in front of me is not paying attention itself. So this automatic driving software is not going to do as well at seeing hazards up ahead as a human would. But the advantage it does have is that it never stops paying attention. It always keeps its attention. And here we have the situation where the car is slowing down. I saw the brake lights well ahead before the autopilot did. Okay guys, now we are on a winding country road, and this is specifically another road that Tesla says the autopilot is not built for. But we'll just see how it does with doing the auto steer. And we have a 25-mile-per-hour corner coming up. And I have it set at 40 max for speed. If the car doesn't know the speed limit, it won't go over 45 on autopilot anyway. Okay, so 25-mile-per-hour corner, we're at 40, going into the corner. There is oncoming traffic, and I was very ready to take the wheel if I needed to. And it does scare me a little bit how it keeps on the outside part of the corner. Okay, there it did a good job. It slowed down to 29 miles an hour and made that corner. Alright, so this road should be a challenge for it. Another tight corner there. Did fine. Slowed down to just below 40. Way on the outside of that corner. Slowed down halfway through the corner to correct itself a little better. But it did run wide on that corner. Yeah, watch carefully because this is going to be a good test for it. Keep an eye on the screen too. See how it's on the outside of the lane there. It even sees that it's running wide on the corner. And here's a real test. This is a 25 mile an hour, almost a 90-degree turn, which you may have seen in the intro to some of my videos. Of course, we're slowing down just because the car here is in front of me. So that may not be a full challenge for this software, because we got slowed down from adaptive cruise control. And look at that wheel turning all on its own. Yep, it did perfect on that corner, but it was slowed down following this car, so we're gonna have to go back the other direction. Guys, we're gonna head back for that same corner, and I've got it set at the max of 45 miles per hour, and we're coming up to a 25-mile-per-hour corner, and we will see if it can take the corner. I'm gonna be very ready to take over if I need to. It's slowing down. Slowing down to 35 now, 32. There it goes. It's making the corner. Hey, it did it. It got down to 26. If you were riding in this car, you'd say there was a teenager driving, because it didn't slow down early enough, and then it had to slow down a little late in the corner as it was going slightly wide. Certainly isn't something you would enjoy. You wouldn't enjoy this drive with the autopilot on. So hopefully this has been helpful for you guys, and you got to see how the autopilot works on the freeway and also on a rural winding road. So hey guys, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is the first one in my series on the Tesla Autopilot, and I would like to do some more videos for you, and I'll go over the other features on the autopilot and let you know how those work in the real world when you're actually using them out on the road. And through this whole process, I'm going to be trying to determine whether this is a system that I think is worth paying for.